Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Sog Frog today with the second issue of The Drop. This is an online blog where I talk about all things Fight Club. Now, if you're not familiar with Fight Club, it is a card game, a trading card game by the company Decipher. You can learn more about that at www.decipher.com. So anyways, today I have something super special for you. I'm going to be releasing the solution to the Decipher This cipher puzzle. Alright, so on the 4th of March 2009, Warren Holland starts the Decipher This thread. In this thread, he mentions that the numbers on the kilo boxes are important. Additionally, he mentions the first two clues. The first clue is a PDF file where these two guys chronicle their adventure and their way of solving the first Decipher puzzle. The second clue is a simple phrase, and it says, "What was once one thing is now another." And so, around the end of March, I would say the 30th of March is when I noticed it, Warren Holland posted the third clue. Now, rather than just posting the clue in a reply, he merely edited his original post and put it in there, and it was, "The Beatles said the number best." Now, in the beginning of May, the fourth clue was released by Warren. Now, this was a long write-up by him explaining his thought process, how this card was developed, and it concluded with this: add, then add, then add. When something reveals itself, you are likely to be bouncing in a finer chaos. So the 11th of May rolls around, and Warren Holland releases his fifth clue. First, we have a link to a Revolution 9 YouTube video, followed by a list of deciphered games numbered 1 through 9. 1 is Star Trek, and 9 is Fight Club. So it seems to point back to Warren's third clue of "The Beatles said the number best." Then, on the 11th of August, Warren posted his sixth clue. Now, in this clue, we have a question and then an answer. The question is, what is not random leading to the first? The answer is 0 and the first of each: 267, 701, and 130. Alright, so the second edition of The Drop comes along, the PDF version that is, and I'm able to release Warren's seventh clue, and that is, every number in the key leads to number 9. Turn me on, dead man. So in the third edition of The Drop, I'm able to release Warren Holland's eighth clue. In it, he points back to the sixth clue. Remember those three numbers, 267, 701, and 130? You add those together, you get 1098. You add those again, and you get 18. You add 18 up, and you get 9. Find the result first, add, then add, then add. Why? There's an indication that you're near the key if attention you pay. It's interesting how he words that last part. So late in June 2010, Warren posts his ninth and final clue. It is, the key, spelled K-E-E-Y, to decipher this is the answer. I was confused for the better part of 2009 and 2010 on this puzzle. I, along with all of you guys, I'm sure, who were trying to do the same thing, tried so many different things as possible keys. And, you know, I would find one thing that would seem to lead me down this path, and I was getting closer and closer until it was just like, nothing. It's just a random coincidence. And so one example of that is I Googled the phrase, "What was once one thing is now another," and it brought me to this book, Saints and Lovers by Lorianne Carney. It had nothing to do with anything, but it had this phrase in there, so I was automatically curious, and I thought it could be, a potential key. So, of course, I went onto Amazon and bought it, and it got here, and I was like, why the hell did I do that? Okay, so I also, in this quest, I bought the book Cosmos by Carl Sagan. It is good reading, so I really don't mind buying that as much. I think there were a lot of us out there that thought that the key could come from one of the chapters of this book. I also went out and I bought Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking. I've always wanted the book, and I thought that maybe Warren could have used some of that for his key, because I think in the clue where he released the long explanation of his thought process, he, mentioned chaos theory and universes. I was thinking, oh, okay, that sounds kind of similar to this. So I was I was reaching in the dark like so many other people. Another thing that I tried was the Last Train from Paris, How to Host a Murder Mystery. I got that book on the side of it. It said number 9. It referenced the number 9 inside, and I totally thought that I had found it. But no, just a random coincidence. Look, imagine that. So turns out that the key was right in front of us the whole time. It wasn't as complex as many of us had thought. In fact, it was in the PDF file. That's all you needed. So the numbers, the Decipher numbers that start with 909, that's an interesting number. 909. You add those up and you get 9. There's a 0 in the middle of those. Kind of like the Beatles song, the one after 909. In one of Warren Holland's Clue, he says, what is not random leading to the first? He mentions 3 different numbers, or he mentions 0 and 3 different numbers. You add up those 3 different numbers, you get 9. Once again, pointing to 909. If you were to add up all of the numbers in the with the original Decipher puzzle, you would get, I can't remember the exact number, but you keep on adding it all up and you get 9. Those numbers are the first part of the key. Now, what do those numbers reference? Well, they all match up with letters that form the E. E. Cummings poem, A Poet's Advice. So there you have the second part. And everything seems fine here. You take the Decipher This card numbers and you pair them up with the original Decipher numbers, and you insert the letters that they represent, but you just get a bunch of gibberish. So, what then? And, interestingly enough, there is a user who noticed this. I believe it was Just Mike. He noticed this within the first day that this thread was posted. Or at least he's in the first page of the thread. And he notices that, you get glash or something like that when you start doing this. And, I did the same thing. I got excited because I was like, wait, all these numbers, they match up with numbers in the original Decipher puzzle. So this means something, kind of like sculpting a mountain of mashed potatoes. Interesting. And it led to nothing, it seemed. So a lot of us, including me, left that alone for quite some time. I had tried other ways of manipulating those numbers, like maybe you add 9 to every single one of those letters that is gibberish, and it shifts it, kind of like a Caesar shift. Well, that didn't work either. And so I went off in other random directions and tried all sorts of other things until one day in January, I looked at one of Warren's posts, or one of his clues, and it was every number in the key leads to number 9. Turn me on, dead man. Now, turn me on, dead man is what sound, or what you would hear if you played Revolution 9 backwards. Instead of Revolution 9, you hear turn me on, dead man. Turn me on, dead man. So I was like, wait a second. I just take the numbers and take all the letters that they stood for and make it all backwards. So now 909, instead of being the A for almost, which is the first word in the E. E. Cummings poem, 909 now stands for the last letter in that solution. Yeah, so 909 is the S in E. E. Cummings. So now you go back to Just Mike's post where he matches every Decipher This number with the number that's in the original Decipher puzzle. Nothing seemed to make sense. All we got was a bunch of gibberish. But now that you have the original Decipher numbers with the poem backwards, it makes sense. It totally makes sense. So you take all of this, and instead of getting gibberish like Just Mike got in the very first thread, or in the very first page of the Decipher This thread, where he says, well, I get glash and just a bunch of gibberish. Now instead of that, you start to get something that makes sense. But the first the first number is very interesting. It's 229, which could either be an I or an S. So which direction do you go? If you go with I, your first three letters look like IET. And I did that when I was figuring this out. And I was like, IET, that's nothing. I'm down another random path again. But just on a whim, I kept on going, and I got UP. And I was like, et up? Wait a second. Am I onto something here? And so I went a little bit further, and I found the word destroy. And so I was like, holy crap, this is it. I found it. But why does the first number equal an I? So I went back, I looked at my 229, and I saw that 229 could equal an I or an S. So it's obviously setup. All right, so this is what the card says. Setup. Destroy this card. Discard 3. Exhaust any player's scored fight card showing 1 damage. Alrighty guys, so that's it. That's what the card says. Finally, we don't have that thing hanging over our shoulders. It's been a great ride, and thanks to Warren Holland for such a great puzzle. It was great working with all of you out there. I couldn't have done it without the help that I received on the forums. And yeah, anyways, I hope this was good for all of you guys. Hope it answers some questions. As far as the answers or the descriptions or explanations for Warren's clues, and mine as well, I'm just going to post those on the forums, because if I did that right here, it would just be way too lengthy, and no one needs that. So anyways, thank you for watching once again. Please subscribe to me. Also give me a thumbs up, and look forward to more good stuff here in the future. Thanks. Bye.